Namaste. Welcome to the Advaita Channel. I'm Bhagavati, and today I continue reading from The Unborn, the life and teachings of Zen Master Bankei, the very teacher who brought me to Guruji, Srimuji. These teachings given in the 1600s in Japan, at what was the mother temple of the Zen tradition through which I came. These teachings very much like satsang. Namaste to those listening. I know Lizelle is with me. I know Nomai is with me also. Joining us from your iPhones. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And Happy New Year. So we're reading the words of Zen Master Bankei himself now. These were written in the form of transcripts, just as books are transcribed of our teachers today, of Muji and of Ananta. You certainly must cherish your illusions dearly, for you to change the Buddha mind into them, just so that you can be deluded. If you only knew the great value of the Buddha mind, there's no way you could ever be deluded again. Not even if you wanted to be. Fix this clearly in your head. When you are not deluded, you are a Buddha. And that means you are enlightened. There is no other way for you to become a Buddha. So draw close and listen carefully and be sure that you understand what I say. You create your outbursts of temper when the organs of your six senses, vision, hearing, smell, taste, touch, and faculty of mind are stimulated by some external condition and incite you to oppose other people because you desire to assert your own preciously held idea. When you have no attachment to self, there are no illusions. Have that perfectly clear. All your parents gave you when you were born was a Buddha mind. Nothing else. What have you done with it? From the time you were a tiny baby, you've watched and listened to people losing their tempers around you. You've been schooled in this until you too have become habituated into irascibility. So now you indulge in frequent fits of anger. But it's foolish to think that's inherent. Right now, if you realize you've been mistaken and don't allow your temper to rise anymore, you'll have no temper to worry about. Instead of trying to correct it, don't produce it in the first place. That's the quickest way, don't you agree? Trying to do something about it after it occurs is very troublesome and futile besides. Don't get angry to begin with. Then there's no need to cure anything. There's nothing left to cure. Once you've realized this, and you stop creating that temper of yours, you'll find that you won't have any other illusions either, not even if you want to, for you'll be living constantly in the unborn Buddha mind. There is nothing else. Since everything is in perfect harmony if you live and work with the unborn mind of the Buddhas, my school is also known as the Buddha Mind sect. Live in the Buddha mind, and you're a living Buddha from that moment on. This is the priceless thing directly pointed to. I want you to trust completely what I've been telling you. Do just as I've said. To start with, try to stay in the unborn for 30 days. Once you've accustomed yourself to that, even if you grow tired of it, there'll still be no way you can avoid living in the unborn and doing an admirable job of it too. Just take a sip of tea. Everything you do will be according to the unborn. You'll be a living Buddha. You should listen to all my words as if you were newly born this very day. What better day to listen to these words than the 1st of January, when culturally we've been led to believe, at least, that we begin with a blank slate. So let us be newborn, together, right now. Blank, empty, free of delusion, free of conditioning. Free of the imprints of our parents, our relatives, our friends, our colleagues, even of our Sangha. This pure, unborn Buddha mind. Fresh and clear-eyed as the day we were born. If something's on your mind, if you have any preconception, you can't really take in what I say. But if you listen as if you were a newborn child, it will be like hearing me for the first time. Since then, there's nothing in your mind. You can take it right in, grasp it even from a single word, and fully realize the Buddha's Dharma. A laywoman from Izumo, who had come to the retreat because she had heard of Bankei and his teaching, asked, "According to what you say, all we have to do is simply remain effortlessly in the Buddha mind. Don't you think that teaching is too lightweight?" I'm pretty certain people have said such things of the teachings of Sri Muji, perhaps of Ananta. Isn't your teaching too simple? Surely that can't be it. There must be more. Teach me a doctrine, teach me some rules, teach me some practices. But to not believe your next thought, to not buy any concept, to just remain as the self, to remain as the unborn Buddha mind? Can it be this simple? Bankai's answer: lightweight. You set no store by the Buddha mind. You get angry and you turn it into a fighting spirit. You give vent to selfish desires and change it into a hungry ghost, or do something foolish and convert it into an animal. You deludedly turn the Buddha mind into all sorts of different things. That's lightweight, not my teaching. Nothing is of more gravity, and nothing more praiseworthy than living in the Buddha mind. So you may think, when I tell you to live in the Buddha mind, that it is lightweight. But believe me, it's just because it has such weight that you are unable to do it. This, however, might give you the idea that living in the Buddha mind is a very difficult business. But isn't it true that if you listen carefully to my teaching, understand it well, and live in the Buddha mind, then simply and easily, without doing any hard work, you're a living Buddha this very day. You've decided, after hearing what I said, that dwelling effortlessly in the Buddha mind was an easy matter. But in fact, it is not easy. So you go on transforming it into a fighting spirit, a hungry ghost, or an animal. You get angry, even over trifles. When you do, you create the cause of rebirth as a fighting spirit. So, though you may not be aware of it, you're spending your existence as a human, creating a fighting spirit of the first order. He's not really referring to the Buddhist concept of past and future lives, but to your rebirth in the here and now as a fighting spirit, how we transform ourselves by believing our thoughts, by letting go of that pure, unborn Buddha mind, letting it be buried in concepts, mistaken beliefs, in this foolishness. And sure enough, if you work earnestly at it, you will not only be a fighting spirit during your lifetime, you'll fall into such an existence after you die as well. Have no doubt about it. On account of self-interest, you toil away to turn the Buddha mind into greed and desire. Since that's the cause of rebirth as a denizen of the realm of hungry ghosts, you're unknowingly paving the way for rebirth into that realm. You're readying yourself for a post-mortem fall into a hungry ghost existence. It's a foregone conclusion. You will surely end up there. Owing to selfish thoughts and aims, you dwell on one thought after another, fretting senselessly over things that can get you nowhere. Continuing on like that, unable to stop, you turn the Buddha mind into ignorance. Ignorance causes you to be reborn as an animal. It's clear even now, while you're alive and busily creating the cause of such a wretched fate, that when you die, you'll enter that existence. I see people unaware of this, dedicating their lives to carefully fashioning the very causes of their rebirth into the three evil realms. It's pitiful. They're reserving seats for their passage. But when you don't change your Buddha mind into a fighting spirit, a hungry ghost, or an animal, you can't avoid dwelling naturally in the Buddha mind. It's obvious, isn't it? The laywoman replies, "Yes, of course. It's true. I have no words to thank you." And next, a monk steps forward to speak to Sri Bankei. The monk. You're always teaching people that they should live in the unborn. To me, that seems like telling them to live I can't speak. To me, that seems like telling them to live purposelessly, without any aim. Bankei. You call dwelling in the unborn Buddha mind being without purpose. You don't stay in the unborn Buddha mind yourself. Instead, you're always working enthusiastically at other things, doing this, doing that, spending all your time transforming your Buddha mind into something else. What could be more purposeless than that? The monk made no reply. Bankei. Live in the unborn. It's certainly not purposeless. Another monk steps forward. Remember, many more than 10,000 monks and lay people and preachers of all traditions were living in the region around Bankei and coming just to receive these pointings from him. So we'll very often hear reports from monks, from priests, even from abbots of other temples, and then also from laywomen, laymen. The monk. To live in the Buddha mind, as you say, would mean to live in a state of unknowing, to be insensible. Bankei. What if someone came up behind you, without your knowing it, and suddenly poked you in the back with a gimlet? Would you feel pain? The monk. Of course I would. Bankei. Then you're not unknowing or insensible, are you? If you were, it wouldn't hurt. You feel it because you're not insensible, and you never have been. Have confidence in me. Live in the unborn Buddha mind. A monk, another monk, steps forward. You tell people to dwell in the unborn, but it seems to me that would mean remaining totally indifferent to things. I feel I know this question. I feel I've heard this one step up before our own masters numerous times. Bankei. While you face me there listening innocently to what I say, suppose someone should come up behind you and touch a firebrand to your back. Would it feel hot? The monk. Of course it would. Bankei. In that case, you aren't indifferent. How could someone who feels heat be indifferent? You feel it because you aren't indifferent. You have no difficulty telling what is hot and what is cold, without having to give rise to a thought to make such a distinction. The very fact that you ask that question about being indifferent or not shows that you're not indifferent. You have no trouble telling yourself whether you're indifferent or not. That's because you're not indifferent. So you see, the Buddha mind, with its illuminating freedom, is capable of discriminating things with a miraculous efficiency. It is anything but indifferent. How could any human being who is able to think be indifferent? A man who was really indifferent wouldn't be engaged in thinking. I can assure you that you are not indifferent and that you never have been. Another monk steps forward. I don't know why it is, but my mind often seems to be somewhere else. Could you help me to keep my mind from playing truant like that? Bankei. The unborn mind of the Buddhas that all people receive from their parents when they're born is wonderfully bright and illuminating. No one, and that includes all of you, is ever separated from it. This absent-mindedness of yours is the same. Your mind's not really somewhere else. It's only that you haven't learned about the Buddha mind. So instead of just dwelling in it, you change it into various other things. Then, even though you listen to things, you can't really take them in. You don't really hear them. You're not absent-minded. What you're doing is making the Buddha mind into these other things. Would someone whose mind is really somewhere else be inquiring whether it was or not? If your mind was somewhere else, you would hardly be aware of it. You wouldn't be asking questions about it. You're not even away from it when you're asleep. Because if someone calls you and tells you to wake up, you will respond to him and wake up straight away. Guruji often says, when you were born, you didn't have a name. Your parents give you a name, maybe John. He likes to use this name a lot. But you have to learn that you have this name, because it's not your name. You're nameless. But over time, you take on this name. You adopt it as your own. And then when you fall asleep at night, or even in the day, someone calls, John, John, out of sleep. You'll come. You'll return. Who heard that? Who heard that name? Who knew? I'm John. I must wake up. Someone's calling me. You've never been apart from your mind in the past. You won't be apart from it in the future. And you're not apart from it right now. None of you here has ever been separated from your mind, just as none of you is an unenlightened person. You've each been born with the Buddha mind. It's your birthright. After you leave here today, be towards all things just as you are right at this moment, as you listen to me speak, and you'll be in the unborn Buddha mind. People form bad habits, strive for personal gain, and fall into illusion, all on account of the defilements produced from their desires and passions. Leaving the Buddha mind, they become unenlightened. But originally, there are no unenlightened people. Suppose two men are walking together down the same path. One steals things, the other doesn't. Although the one who steals is no less a human being than his companion, he's branded with a special name, thief. He has to carry that name around with him wherever he goes. But no one calls the other man a thief, and he doesn't have to be burdened with that name. The thief is like an unenlightened man, a deluded human being, and the one who doesn't steal and isn't deluded is like a man of the unborn who lives in the Buddha mind. No mother ever gave birth to a thief. The truth of the matter is this: from the time the thief is a small child, he begins to be habituated, unwittingly, to the wrong inclinations, taking what belongs to other people. Little by little, as he grows to manhood, his selfishness comes more and more to the fore, until he learns to be a skillful thief and is unable to keep his hands off others' property. Now, if he didn't steal to begin with, he'd have no need to stop. But he doesn't make the slightest mention of his own failing. He claims that his inclination to steal others' property is something he can't stop because he is a born thief. That's ridiculous. The proof that a mother doesn't bear children to be thieves is that there are no congenital thieves. People turn into thieves by watching others exercising their habits and imitating them, stealing things of their own accord, because of their own greed. Now, how can that be called inborn? A thief may rationalize his problem by laying the blame on his karma, telling you that he can't help himself. He's unable to keep from stealing because of his bad karma. He's unable to keep from stealing. There's not a word about the selfish desires that have fixed the reprehensible habit deeply in his character over a long period of time. It's a lot of nonsense. You don't steal because of karma. Stealing itself is the karma. Supposing theft were caused by karma, supposing stealing were inborn, it's still possible for a thief to realize that what he's been doing is wrong and to stop stealing. So it's not true that he can't stop. There's not even any reason for him to stop if he doesn't steal to begin with. It feels like a long-winded way of saying, if you don't pick up a thought, you won't have to drop it. If we pick up a thought, we take it as our own, and then we continue to go around picking up other thoughts. And these thoughts get sticky and they attract other thoughts. And before we know it, we're very much habituated around our own thinking. And then we're trying to drop all these thoughts, not just the one that it all began with. But if we don't pick up a thought, we have only this pure, unborn Buddha mind. He goes on. Even the greatest scoundrel who ever lived, a man who until just yesterday may have been the object of everyone's contemptuous pointing and whispering, if he realizes today that what he's been doing is wrong and starts to live in his Buddha mind, that man is a living Buddha from then on. When I was a youth, we had a rascal in this neighborhood called the Kappa. He was a notorious robber in the mold of Kumusaka Shohan. He plied his trade on the highways. He had acquired an uncanny knack of being able to tell in just a glance just how much money a person had with him. He was always right. It was amazing. Anyway, he was eventually caught and thrown into Osaka prison. After a long period locked up in a cell, because he was such a master thief, his death sentence was finally lifted and he was released, on the condition that he work as an agent for the constabulary. He later became a sculptor of Buddhist images, living in Osaka, and made a name for himself as a master sculptor. He ended his days as a practicer of the Pure Land faith and passed away peacefully in a Nembutsu samadhi. The Nembutsu is a Buddhist mantra, for those who don't know, of the Pure Land faith tradition. By mending his ways, even a notorious thief like the Kappa died with a deep aspiration for rebirth in the Pure Land. So where is the man who steals because of the depth of his karma or the blackness of his sins? Robbery is the bad karma. Robbery is the sin. If you don't steal, you don't have the karma or the sin. Whether you steal or not is determined by you yourself, not by any karma. And don't think that what I've been saying applies only to stealing. It's just as true of any human illusions. They're all the same. Having illusions or not having them depends on your own mind and nothing else. If you have illusions, You're an unenlightened person. If you don't, you're a Buddha. Outside of this, there's no shortcut to becoming a Buddha. Each one of you should fix this unshakably in your mind. And to help us fix this unshakingly in our mind, in our heart, I'm going to pass us into the safe hands of Srimuji, our beloved Guruji, the guided meditation on the unborn Buddha mind.
You are the unborn, the undying, timeless. You were never born. What is born is this form and name that came into being. And this coming into being appears in your own timeless, infinite self. You are pure awareness, beyond names and forms, beyond what comes and goes. All these appearances, they are watched effortlessly in yourself. If you remain without identifying with what appears, then your own timelessness will become self-evident for you. You are the witness of all appearances, all phenomena. You are the eyes that sees all. But this all-seeing eyes, they cannot be seen. Because it is itself formless. Ideas such as becoming yourself or knowing how to be, leave these ideas, and these ideas will leave you. They do not serve what you are. Do not yourself to any intention, nor to time. Don't anticipate to become something in the future. And your timeless, ever-present being will reveal itself more clearly. You are the light of awareness itself, the light of consciousness. But you're also beyond this, as the weakness of this light and all that appears in this light. You are immaculate being. All that arises in your own self, all thoughts, from past, future, or even present thoughts appearing, none of this is your own self. They cannot exist without you. But nothing defines you. Do not identify with any self-image, any construct. You're only the awareness itself. Though your mind will not easily accept this, understand that you are the weakness itself of the mind. You are not that which comes and goes. You are not even that which improves or grows. It is an aspect of yourself. It belongs to the realm of consciousness and mind. That dynamic beingness is always expanding. It is natural. It is natural for that feeling of expansion, of maturing to happen. This is the purpose of this existence itself, in a way. But you are the knower, the perceiver of progress, of change, of growth, of maturity. Therefore, you are apart from all of these. Reflect on this. In the same way that the wind blows here and there, but it cannot be seen, only its effects are seen. In the same way, all these names and forms are the effects of the being. They are the evidence of its presence. But it is the invisible within the visible world. No name and no form sticks to you. They are only your temporary garment. You are before knowledge. You are the knower of knowledge. You are before memory. You are the witness of memory. You are before time. You are the witness of time and space and change. This is not something that is going to happen. It is the ever-present truth of who we are. Truly, you have neither parents or children or friends nor any possession. All these are appearances in you. You are before all these appearances. It is natural that they are here, that they appear in the manifest life, in this dynamic world. All things appear for a time. Even your own self, which perceives itself as personality, as gender, all this, it is natural for this manifestation. Enjoy this play, but enjoy being completely awake to the real. You are the self, the one all-encompassing reality. All appears in your own self. You are the birthless and the deathless one. You have no special state, though all states appear in you. Contemplate this. This moment and this day is only an unfolding. If left unforced, it will reveal also the harmony and peace that is your own fragrance. Move naturally. Be yourself. Nothing can take away or add to you in the true sense. Your pure awareness. Whatever appears in this body or this mind are only appearances. Appearances cannot appear, they cannot occur without you, that which notices them. Do not strain yourself trying to improve this world. First, completely know yourself. Then your actions, they spring from this spontaneity, from this depth, from this understanding, from the real. And they will shower blessing upon this world. Be the one who is eternally free, happy, whole. remain like this.
Thank you for joining me. Thank you for listening. We find in this way that you can remain purely and simply as the unborn Buddha mind, untouched, not picking up anything. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Buddha Ki Jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Bankei Ki Jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Mujiji Ki Jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Anantaji Ki Jai. Thank you. Om Namah Shivaya.